Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video, little video intro once again, and we're going to be talking about Superman and the Warner Brothers panel that happened last night at CinemaCon. Got so much to break down, so stick with me throughout this entire video. So for now, let's go ahead and get started. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos later this year. Okay, so we got to break down the footage that premiered at CinemaCon, also some of the reactions to the Superman footage and the panel as a whole, and there is a bunch of quotes that we need to break down. So we're going to go through it all bit by bit, starting off of course with the Superman footage and the descriptions that have been given to us by some people that attended CinemaCon. So apparently the Superman footage went like this. It opens up with a scene of Superman crash landing, and by the way, this is a scene, this is like a short, I don't know how many minute scene of Krypto and Superman, and we saw this scene in the trailer. It's a scene when they're in Norway and he's in the middle of like an icy tundra and Krypto is there trying to save him. So it opens with Superman crash landing in that icy tundra, and Krypto charges and jumps on Superman, hurting him obviously because he is super powerful, and Superman has already clearly taken a lot of damage by whoever he was fighting. So apparently it seemed like he wanted to play, but Krypto is quite violent, just in the way that, you know, he has superpowers as well. And at this point apparently the new score plays, so it's the score that you've heard in the background of the trailers but maybe a little bit different. I don't know, I haven't actually listened to it myself, but the fortress then appears from the ground just after this, and you see an S-shaped door or House of L crest-shaped door, and Krypto drags Superman into the Fortress of Solitude that appears out of the ground. So I'm guessing that is just the normal Fortress of Solitude and how it appears. It's not just somewhere hidden, it's literally quite fantastical in the way that it appears. And then as they enter the fortress, Superman is helped by some robots that are in the fortress, and obviously those are Kryptonian robots. Most of you know Kalex, potentially Kalex could be in the film, and they rush to help Superman, who is obviously severely injured at this point, and he's just been dragged in by Krypto. And then Superman thanks them for helping out whilst he has all these injuries. So apparently Superman has multiple injuries, it's pretty bad, but the robots use yellow sun radiation to heal him. So that's just a pretty common way of rejuvenating Superman's powers and healing his injuries as quick as possible. And at this point apparently Superman screams in pain, which is quite odd considering Superman is never really in too much pain. Yes, maybe he's been exposed to red sun radiation or something that has weakened him, that has allowed, I don't know, cuts and bruises to go on throughout his body. But clearly the yellow sun radiation, it's hurting him, it's healing his wounds and everything. But at this point it cuts to Lois, who interviews Superman as Clark. So I'm presuming this is the scene after, but it also links back because Superman is in the fortress and gets upset with Krypto, who has made a mess. But then robots also apparently don't like Krypto, the robots in the Fortress of Solitude, and then it ends with Krypto crying when Superman leaves. So I don't get how it's interspliced, how it's edited, because I haven't seen the footage myself. But yeah, apparently Lois interviews Clark as Superman, and you see that in the footage apparently, according to the movie podcast who was there at CinemaCon. So that is the description of the Superman footage. Now, I think that's a pretty cool scene. It's pretty much what you expect in terms of, you know where he is in terms of location. Like, of course he's going to go to the fortress, and as you saw in the trailer, Krypto is there to help him. But I guess we didn't see in the trailer how strong Krypto actually is. But let's move on to the next thing. So we've got some reactions from CinemaCon. So Robert Meyer Burnett, who some of you guys might know from John Campier's YouTube channel, had this to say: "As I suspected, James Gunn's Superman leans heavily into the fantastical and looks to be both wildly fun and terrifically entertaining." Gotta get those adjectives in. It also leans into the universe in ways that has never been seen before on film or television. I'll lay it down right here, it's gonna make $1 billion. So that is Robert's reaction. I'm curious about what he means in terms of it also leans into the universe in ways never seen before in film or television. I don't think he's trying to say like it's anything super revolutionary in terms of like story or anything, but I'm thinking he's talking about his style and the way that Superman is being portrayed in this film, because it looks quite different when you look at the trailer and everything like that. And obviously the Arrowverse did a lot in terms of like multiverse, so it surely doesn't have anything to do with that. So it's probably more visually, that's just my interpretation. But yeah, it's very fantastical, it's very fun and entertaining. That's kind of what you expect from a James Gunn Superman film. And apparently there were some more teasers. We need to talk about this. So apparently James Gunn teased on what to expect in Superman, and he referenced pocket universes, sorcery, flying dogs, which is obviously Crypto, and Max Fleischer cartoons. So I'm curious about this. Like, sorcery, okay, I don't think that's very far-fetched. I don't know how Max Fleischer cartoons are there. I'm probably guessing maybe there's like a small scene where they're featured, or maybe it's just like references to things that happened in those cartoons, and maybe, you know, he pays homage to them. But let's talk about pocket universes. So I found a great description of what a pocket universe is, or a pocket dimension as they're quite commonly called, and it goes like this. So a pocket dimension is usually a small dimension anchored to another dimension or universe in some manner. So this could also be actual objects. So some pocket dimensions can be used as pseudo headquarters and bases for superheroes and characters, whereas others are just used as convenient ways to carry or get rid of objects. For instance, send a bomb to a pocket universe and it won't hurt anyone because it isn't tethered to like the entirety of, let's say, the DC universe. So I'm guessing the pocket universe, it could be like the main Earth is in a pocket universe, or for some reason in Superman they talk about it and they know that these exist and they know that they're not in one. But let me know, what do you think about that down in the comments below. Okay, so apparently Superman, Lois Lane and Lex Luthor will be appearing in other DCU projects soon. This is according to Entertainment Weekly. I just saw this, I don't know much more information than that, but that's kind of a no-brainer. Of course they're going to be showing up in other projects. They are big actors in their own rights, and everyone is super excited to see David Corenswet, Rachel Brosnahan and Nicholas Hoult playing their respective characters. Also, I heard some people saying they were a bit disappointed with the Superman panel. Well, actually it's the Warner Brothers panel, and that's because they kind of said everything that we already know, but just with small teasers. Like, there was no big new news that they talked about, and they really didn't talk about the rest of the DCU, which I think is a bit of a missed opportunity in my opinion. I was just hoping for something on Supergirl, because that's coming out the year after, and we didn't really hear anything on that. But we got a couple of quotes from some of the actors. So David Corenswet talked about Lex Luthor and how he is a combination of both Lois and Superman. So he says he has all of Lois's intelligence and foresight and skepticism that allows him to make these incredible advances and control the narrative and the government and all these things that he has control over. So that's an interesting quote. So maybe Lex in Superman is more powerful than a lot of other Lexes because he has some sort of control in the government, which is very interesting to hear. But he continued by saying, but he has Superman's passion for the world and for being a symbol of something, standing for something, and being a public-facing symbol. So Lex Luthor will be front and center, although he is doing all these villainous acts, so he's well known by the public. And then he continued by saying, and maybe the downfall is that Lex has decided what's right between those two and which should win out, whereas Superman and Lois are in a constant battle about what is right, so they each get checked by each other. And then David goes on to talk about his take on Superman. He says, the thing that I was most drawn to with Superman was the tension between his love of humanity and the role that he can play for them, and the loneliness that he feels in the fact that he can never quite be one of them. And that plays out in so many different ways, not least of which is his love of being Clark Kent and getting to play as one of them, at least for short periods of time. So yeah, I guess that's an interesting way of looking at Superman. I feel like that's definitely something that Superman has to grapple with, you know, being human or being Kryptonian. Well, he kind of looks human, but he's not actually human. He's got these superpowers, so he has to find a balance between being Clark Kent and Superman. We got a couple more quotes from some of the actors. Nicholas Hoult described what Lex does as tech defense. in Superman, and he says Lex has invented one of the best forms of battery in the entire world that almost everything runs on, and we don't talk about it in this movie, but I think that's where he's made the majority of his money. So he's obviously just speculating about why Lex is so rich. Now, let's talk about Clark and Lois, because apparently they've been dating for a few months only when we meet them in Superman. So the quote is, they're really learning the ins and outs and what's good about them, what's not so good. We have Lois Lane, who's a pragmatist, and Superman, who is an idealist. How does that work together? So they're going to be exploring that. And James Gunn also went on to say this about Superman. Back in 2018, I was first offered Superman. I didn't know if I could. It seemed hard, but it stuck with me. Then one day it hit me, creating a story that is utterly humane and fantastic. So James Gunn, as we all know, he's been heavily involved in DC in the last couple of years, but even before then, even before he made the Suicide Squad, he was offered to make Superman, which is definitely a big deal. So that pretty much does it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment. It would really help this video get out there. Also subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. But for now, you can click on the top right corner of the screen to watch my latest video, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.